Hey everybody, this is Chris. Just wanted to give you a heads up before this episode starts. This is an episode from the vault. And what that means is I found it when I was backing everything up on a hard drive and it's really, really old. So please ignore any outdated reference, but it is still a really good episode. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. And here we go. What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Chris, and with me today, MasterMind-rebo.
Hey, everybody. Good to hear you again, but once again, we don't interact with you.
You sound like a confused man at a bar.
I know, and it's just
like people walk in and you're just like, hello, everybody. Hey, how's it going?
And it was something where I was saying, like, good to see you again, but then I always remember that I have no interaction with you outside of my voice to you.
Well, it's just funny to me because, like, everybody has their thing. Like, Steven, the Outlaw Steve Jr. has, like, a really delayed pause, and then he shoots a finger gun. There's a...
Yeah.
And then Dane is hey, 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 hey. Cole, Mr. Naughty List is ahoy.
Yeah.
Ginger Giant is just like, Argh.
So really, I'm just going to have to come up with something better because I'm just kind of like a lost and confused
You
puppy.
just do like, because you're a mastermind.
Yeah.
And I think about the movie Mastermind.
Which is,
that kind of tanked. But, but anyways.
But hey. Here we are.
Welcome back. Thanks to everybody that's hit us up on the internet this week and that have left reviews on the iTunes store. If you haven't done that, make sure you do that. If you don't know how to get to the iTunes store, it's real easy. Go to betweenthecons.com/subscribe. It'll open up in your browser if you're on your phone. It'll pop you over into the podcast app. So it's really quick and easy. We made it as simple as possible for you people. Today on Topic Thunder, we're going to be talking about how shows stay on the air so long.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's not a better question for it. It's just like we have seen so many shows through our lifetime that have stayed on the air for so long that we felt like it would be good to kind of break it down and look into it and say, like, why is Grey's Anatomy still on television?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It baffles me to this day, but we're not going
talking
into that.
Yeah, we're not talking about Grey's Anatomy. Sorry, Michael Ann. I know you just got really excited. Or scared because you knew all of the bad things I would say. But anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's get into Topic Thunder. How do shows stay on TV so long? Or anything. I mean, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be TV. I know we're in the age of, like, the streaming shows.
Sure.
So there have been some shows that have already had, like, a number of seasons.
Yeah.
So we can't just limit it to TV. But those are the ones that have been on the longest. I mean, when you look, there's a really interesting article on Screen Rant that kind of lists... it came out like last year, I think, is when I read it. But it's got like a ton of different franchises.
Yeah.
And like it includes all their spinoffs, and like Star Trek has like 39 seasons.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like CSI.
Yep.
Really
all
interesting.
The
like the
shows.
NCIS was a spinoff of the JAG, which
really?
I never realized.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Well,
if you even think about, like, relevant ones, how many Sherlock versions did we get? I mean,
right.
It's like, that's just one hand of count.
Yeah.
But,
and then, like, you have all these other shows that have been on the air. I mean, even in our lifetime that we've been fans of, like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. They've had...
Kids movie, totally different. Not what we're going to be talking about.
No, don't worry.
Or kids show.
Yeah.
But it's very different demographic. Very hard to make the claim that deserves to be on TV for as long as it has, but it's great. It's a good show for kids and for the super nerds.
I think it's the toys.
Like Chris. But the things we are going to be talking about, just to give you a couple ideas off the top, Doctor Who, I mean, coming up as well on like 39 seasons or something crazy like
Brings
that.
my heart so much joy.
36.
Yeah.
Because it was 26 and then the break.
And then we got 10 seasons.
Yeah, we're coming up on number 10.
Yep, yep.
And then like Supernatural's on 11.
Yeah.
The Arrow has not been around that long, but it's coming up on 5.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Or it's on its 5th season.
On its 5th season currently.
Yeah. So like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but still it feels like that show came out yesterday.
Yeah, I would agree.
But there are tons of shows. I mean, The Office, Parks and Recreation both ran for 9 seasons. So a ton of shows, even like in our early adulthood, that started, that are still airing or recently departed.
Yes.
So the main reason we wanted to talk about this is Doctor Who is coming up on its 10th season.
Oh, yeah.
And there's been a lot of news swirling around. I've talked about it on the show before. But it's coming up on its 10th season. Peter Capaldi has announced that he is leaving the show.
Yeah.
Stephen Moffat also leaving the show.
Yeah.
But with Peter Capaldi leaving the show, it paves the way for a 13th Doctor, which goes directly against the entire mythos of the 12 incarnations as a Time Lord. So the question there is kind of twofold. It's not really twofold. It's two completely different questions.
Yeah.
Will there be a 13th Doctor?
Yeah.
Or is the mythos really 12? Because I know they've talked about it, but my biggest thing is we go back and we watch The Day of the Doctor.
Yes, absolutely.
John Hurt was the War Doctor.
Yep.
That is the only time that John Hurt has ever appeared as the Doctor.
Yeah.
He was never one of the previous incarnations.
Nope.
So whether it was an alternate reality Doctor or something like that, who knows? But the fact that Matt Smith and David Tennant both recognized him immediately, it's kind of interesting. So it makes you wonder, though at the end of Matt Smith's run, they made a very big deal about
12
Peter Capaldi and like it was the final incarnation.
Well, even Matt Smith was even going to be the final incarnation. And in the time of the Doctor, he gets the help of the Time Lords, where it's just being like, they give him an extra incarnation. And it even isn't, it's hard to say, and they've even kind of led on to this in the series. Well, how many incarnations did they give him?
Well, and the thing is like, it paves such an interesting road to introduce a new concept of Time Lord.
Yep.
And guys, I promise we'll get to why TV shows are on the air so long, but this is important.
Yeah.
But it creates this conversation around, will there be some kind of big event, big thing that happens that basically like restarts the Doctor and restarts like his incarnation countdown clock?
Or do they take it in a whole nother direction, like a spin-off, because you've got me, going off in their own stolen TARDIS, and, you've got new characters and all of those things that, just potentially could take the show in a whole new direction.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is I don't think they can do a spin-off and have it be well received.
I agree.
And this is one of the things that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But the fan base for Doctor Who is so unbelievably loyal. You have 18 and 19-year-olds watching TV shows that came out in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
Show me 18 and 19-year-olds that watch TV shows from the 60s.
Other than the Doctor.
Anywhere else.
Yeah.
That is insane to me.
It doesn't happen.
Like, you do not have anyone watching Matlock.
Think about any Comic-Con we've gone to, and you see the fan base is just, they're half of who's dressed up.
Dressed up as, before Eccleston Doctors.
Yeah.
Like, not even the Doctor Who's that came out in their lives.
Celery on, little pins. It's astounding.
Yeah. But I think that with Doctor Who coming up this year, not obviously, but in the past, they have been kind of sly about introducing the new Doctor.
Yes.
So they'll, at the end of the season, they will show, like, they will show the new Doctor, but they won't necessarily show the new Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be like
and there's
a silhouette or something like that.
So much other things about who it'll be. Like,
they
have code names for the interviews, like just the different things, the auditions, I mean. But yeah, it's just always been something that has been such a secret.
Yeah, and I think it's great because it creates that next level of mysticism around the show, which further intrigues the fan base, which further grows the fan base. Carry on.
Yeah.
But to kind of get into today's topic, now that we're like 10 minutes into the show, what keeps shows on the air? We talked about a couple shows that have been on the air for a long time. Doctor Who being one of them. Obviously, from a studio standpoint, it's the viewership. Yeah. You got to have the numbers to stay on the air.
Yep.
Certain shows that we all love dearly that did not make the cut after, let's say, their first season. Did not have the viewership at the time that they aired.
Yes.
Which sucks. Yeah. Because there's such a huge... I'm talking about Firefly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was
interested.
Like,
Or not following.
We were all thinking, and I was just like, is he going to say Firefly? Because I'll say Firefly.
We're talking about Firefly, and the biggest thing about Firefly is when they were on the air, they did not have the viewership. It was a very weird show.
Yeah.
The pilot was very different from...
anything that's out there.
Yeah, well, even from where the show kind of developed. Yeah. Like, you go watch the pilot, and it's a very different look and feel from the entire rest of the show.
Yeah.
But I don't think the world was ready for a space western.
No, it definitely wasn't.
And even still at the time, it was... the special effects weren't, like, over the top like everything else was.
Yeah.
The special effects were TV budget. They were good enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it was something that hit home with a lot of people. Back then, it wasn't cool to be a nerd.
No,
so
it really wasn't.
You couldn't launch a show like Killjoys and have people pick up immediately.
Yeah.
Killjoys, for those of you that don't know, is a really great show starring one of the Ashmore twins that I don't remember. I think it's Sean. Don't quote me on it because they look exactly the same for the most part. I just know I can tell them apart, but I can't tell you which one's which. That being said, viewership, very important, because if you don't have it in the eyes of the studio, it's not a good show.
Yeah.
And it's not profitable.
Yep.
The second thing, fan base.
Absolutely.
Which kind of ties directly back into viewership, because the fan base, as strong as it may be, has to equal viewers.
Yes.
Because if the fan base does not equal viewers, then we get a crappy movie like years later where they kill everybody.
Yeah.
And it ruins it.
Again, we're talking about Firefly.
Again, well, we're talking about Serenity.
Serenity. Now. Yes, thank you.
But no, Supernatural is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of television show fan base. Interesting fact for those of you that might not know, Supernatural was actually written to be finished at the end of season 5.
Yeah, and then be done.
They did not like write it that way in fear of cancellation or write it that way.
That was just a story.
Yeah, they had told their story. They were ready to move on. The viewers and the fan base were so vast.
Yes.
That they have gone 6 more seasons. They're starting their 11th season this year.
Yeah.
I believe in September. So they're coming up on their 11th season, and they have successfully doubled their original
fan base, like, and viewership.
Well, scope.
Yes.
They wanted 5 seasons.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, when I look at season 10 of Supernatural and compare it to season 2 of Supernatural, they are very different shows.
Yeah.
Even the mythos of the show has changed so much.
I was gonna say multiple times.
That you go back and watch the earlier seasons, I think of it from like a Star Trek standpoint.
Okay.
Like you go back and watch like Star Trek the original series or Star Trek TNG, and then you watch like J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
And like people get pissed at the movies because it's not Star Trek.
Sure,
because
not canon or whatever they believe.
Right.
To be canon
Because
or something.
it's so far removed
Yeah.
from the feel, the like scope, the oomph.
Yeah.
It's so far removed from the oomph of TNG in the original series that hardcore like Star Trek fans don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like with Supernatural, it's the same thing.
Yep. Yep.
With the opposite end result. They have carried the show so far that the fan base has continued to grow.
Yeah.
To the point where they are continually bringing on new fans.
Yeah.
And having like every episode on Netflix certainly doesn't hurt, because it allows for the binge watching, the catch up. But you have to have the fan base, you have to have the viewership, and you have to have them at the same time.
Yeah. And it's an amazing, with the world of the internet, we have talked about, so many times how a fan base has changed the path of a film or a movie. For example, let's go back to Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, saying like a leaked video, by who knows who, Ryan Reynolds probably, but maybe someone else. I don't know. But it's just saying like, just created such a viral stir.
So much hype.
And the fact that we have a term viral now is really what has carried so many of our films. I think it's where the Marvel Universe is where it is today.
I mean, that's why we're here.
Exactly.
Our Pineapple episode, we just talk about viral topics.
Yeah, just because it's what we're interested in, and we're so connected to the world of movies, films, TV, that we have the power.
We've got the power.
Nice. As the people to make these things happen. And we do. And with shows that we really love, that's how we get 11 seasons.
Yeah. And I think that kind of in that, to be viral, you have to be appealing.
Yes.
You have to have something to bring to the table that everyone is going to say, whoa.
Oh,
that's
I'm
cool.
Intrigued. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of like butts into our next point, like swimmingly, which is staying relevant.
Yeah.
You brought up a really great example, and I will see that example and match you.
Yeah.
But Tori's example was The Simpsons.
Yes. Yeah.
Another great example, South Park. South Park's on its 19th season right now.
Yeah.
Simpsons is on like 25 or 26.
Yeah.
So those shows, though not necessarily falling into the nerd culture, the geek culture, are certainly pop culture.
Yeah.
And I mean, even this freaking like this year's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They had an episode where Simpsons had an episode where they made fun of Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And they were like 5 points off of having the score exactly correct.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But it's the kind of thing where like you have to have that kind of stuff. You have to have something that appeals to everyone.
Yep.
You have to have something that not only appeals to everyone, but appeals to everyone now.
Yeah. And really like that's a great point with it now, because South Park from the beginning has talked about how their animation is so simple that they could have, some big event in the news and they would just go to the drawing board, make an episode within the span of hours and air it the next day.
Yeah.
Just like, and the same thing with Simpsons. They've got those character designs down to like the most basic art form.
Somebody can draw it with like their eyes closed.
Yeah. And even like now, who knows, like kind of copy and pasting stuff and adding new characters, but it's just like, they've really got it figured out where they can post the Super Bowl thing. And like we see in, popular news, they're talking about how they announced years ago that Trump was going to be president. Years, just in a random episode where it's just saying like, by staying relevant and even having the nerd base and fellow fan base, they're able to track and remember saying, hey, wait a second, Simpsons did this 10 years ago and it's happening now. Or Simpsons did this last week. Because they've got such a viewership, such a fan base, it's just saying like they're relevant as all get out.
Yeah.
And it's
Family
amazing.
Guy. Family Guy's another one.
Yeah.
But staying relevant, and obviously, like, satirical shows are not the only examples of staying relevant.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
Look at a failed TV show, Marvel's Agent Carter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Though set in the 40s,
Yep.
was still very relevant.
Yeah.
It had a lot of elements to it that were relatable.
Yeah.
And that's relevant and relatable are kind of synonymous, especially
In this realm.
Well, especially when talking about shows that like are set forever ago, like set in the 40s or set like even further back than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or set in the future.
Yeah.
Where things aren't aren't modern news kind of stuff.
Yes.
So staying relevant, staying relatable, I think are really key points. The thing with Marvel's Agent Carter, they just didn't have the viewers.
Yeah. No, they didn't. Yeah.
And then they said, we're going to cancel the show.
Yeah.
And then, like, everybody finally started piping up.
I think it even, like, for that example, they had such a social media presence with the characters in the show that, like, kept it viral just long enough for a couple of seasons, but didn't have the depth and staying power to keep it going.
For sure. So the last thing that we put down, and this one's kind of the most important in my opinion, it is keeping a show on the air requires rejuvenating elements.
Yeah.
And that is such a broad statement.
Yes.
Like in the examples of Family Guy, Simpsons, South Park, those are really easy because their rejuvenating elements is
all the time.
Well, what they use for rejuvenating elements is current events.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yep.
With Doctor Who, for example.
Yeah.
Literally almost.
They rejuvenate
Yeah.
the actual character of the Doctor.
Yeah, they reincarnate the character as different people,
Yep.
different actors, completely different personalities.
And different companions.
So I think that, like, with Doctor Who, one of the things that makes it so interesting for the viewers, and one of the most interesting things about the fan base, is you can ask fans who their favorite Doctor is, and they are very strong about their opinion on that.
Absolutely.
And the reason behind that is every Doctor has had a very different personality.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Matt Smith and David Tennant and Peter Capaldi and Christopher Eccleston, just from the series, the last 10 series or seasons.
Yeah.
We're not in England.
That's
I can say seasons. Just from the last 10 seasons, you look at those 4 actors that have played the Doctor, and they play 4 completely different
taken in
Doctors.
such different directions.
Peter Capaldi's the first one that's like stoic.
Yeah.
In the rejuvenation of the series.
Sure.
He's the only one that's stoic. He's not as goofy. He's not like
very serious. And darker tones.
He's darker tones. Matt Smith was kind of like a goofball.
Yeah.
Like
tripping over everything.
Yeah, tripping over everything.
You know, giraffe dance.
David Tennant was like very, not necessarily a space case, but he was like a spaz.
Yeah.
Like he just like was all over the place. And then Christopher Eccleston was just like, he was like the class clown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything was a joke to him, and everything was funny, and it's just so interesting to have that. So being able to have that kind of rejuvenating element where you're constantly introducing new characters is really interesting. But it kind of bumps up into being able to introduce and depart with characters. So you look at, and I know I said we wouldn't talk about it, but you look at Grey's Anatomy.
Sure.
Grey's Anatomy, McDreamy, Dr. McDreamy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know his name, but I know you're talking about.
I don't know. We have every season on the shelf. You can just look at the back of the box.
He was in Enchanted.
Yeah. But his character, I mean, arguably the most popular character on the show.
Yeah.
And they depart with his character. And there was uproar. Like, the fans of Grey's Anatomy lost their minds for like a week on the internet. Like, everything I saw was about McDreamy, and it's just like, oh, okay. First of all, this sounds like a really weird marshmallow treat from McDonald's. Secondly, what's happening? Because I don't watch Grey's Anatomy. But like, the ability to say, we have this character, and this character is so adored.
Yeah.
But to keep the show going we have to introduce a new character.
Yeah.
The Office. Steve Carell as Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Like, people argue that The Office took the deepest dive and became a terrible show after the departure of Steve Carell.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it was really interesting because then you get this guy that is an embarrassment to himself.
Yes.
Like, through the first
hurts your soul.
Yeah.
Get embarrassed for him.
Through the first 6 seasons of The Office, you hurt for this man.
Every episode.
And then after that, you have Andy Bernard come in
and remorse and regret for losing.
Well, yeah, but you feel very like a lot of the same feelings. Like you feel embarrassed,
yes,
but you don't feel embarrassed for him. You feel embarrassed because he is embarrassing.
Yes.
Like he's not oblivious.
No.
Like Michael Scott was. He's an idiot. Yeah. He makes bad choices. He does dumb things, and he is an embarrassing human.
Yeah.
But that's another way of saying it. And then like, most recently for me at least is New Girl. Oh, okay. On New Girl, Zooey Deschanel's character goes off to be a judge, or not a judge, a jury member on this like high profile case. Yeah. So they lock him up in a hotel. They can't interact with anybody. Yeah. They did it all because Zooey Deschanel got pregnant in real life, and she can't be pregnant on the show. But they bring in Megan Fox. Now, let me say this. I do not like Megan Fox ever. Yeah. I've pretty much hated everything she's ever touched. But her character in the show, named Reagan, is perfect. It is everything the show is missing, and it is a stark opposite of Zooey Deschanel's character, Jess. Yeah. So being able to say Jess is literally the namesake of this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this show is about her being the new girl in the apartment. We're going to do away with her character for like a season and a half.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we're going to introduce this character that is in no way similar, and except for like the tiniest glimmer every few episodes where she has a soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last thing, as far as rejuvenating elements, is life events for major characters.
Absolutely.
So kind of jumping back to The Office, Jim and Pam got pregnant.
Yeah.
Jim and Pam went through...
Jim and Pam got married. Jim and Pam whatever.
Yeah, they went through serious relationship problems.
Yes, yeah.
So you're keeping interest through rejuvenating elements by saying these characters aren't just characters. They're people.
They're real.
And these people and these characters... And, I mean, Doctor Who's the same way.
Yeah.
Like Amy Pond.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, on and again, off again companion.
Yeah.
Because life events. Because life happened.
Yep.
Clara, life events.
Yes.
So, you have these characters that are going through life.
Yeah.
And you are able to connect with them through whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And those life events are bringing you into those viewership numbers.
Yeah.
They're slowly but surely sucking you into the fan base.
Yep.
And they're giving the show a means to rejuvenate itself as it goes and stay relevant.
Yep.
To be able to say, the people will like this episode because this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone has either dealt with personally or through a friend a couple that has marriage problems.
Yeah. It's relatability.
So it's like it's so interesting. But from everything that we've kind of like drawn down, those are like the biggest reasons.
Yeah.
Having the viewership, obviously.
Yeah.
Can't have a show if you don't have people watching it. The fan base, having a strong fan base, staying relevant, and relatable, and then having rejuvenating elements to keep the show moving.
Yeah.
So, why do shows stay on the air so long? Because of that. How does Doctor Who get a 13th incarnation? We'll find out.
We'll find out, and we'll let you know.
Wait.
Nope.
No, but that's it for Topic Thunder. I think that this is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say to you guys, What are your favorite shows that have been on the air for seemingly forever?
And let us know why you think that happened.
Or what shows are on the air that you want to see on the air forever.
Yeah.
So hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do what you got to do. Let us know what are your favorite shows on the air right now. Long term, short term, don't matter. Favorite shows, let's hear them. We're going to talk about some jams now.
What's your jam?
So, Tori.
Yes, Chris.
What's your jam?
So my wife and I, Jenna, we just got a puppy, a Bernese Mountain Dog. And I think I talked about him the last time we were here.
You did.
Yeah.
You certainly did.
Scout. Just a cutie. But now he is becoming more of a...
hassle.
Hassle. He's a puppy. He is.
And he's a big puppy.
He's a big puppy. He's gotten so big. And it's just, we're training him now. So I'm having to be this authoritarian that is making him a good dog, because when people come over and he weighs 120 pounds, if he is a bad dog...
he cannot jump in their lap.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's been tough and a little bit frustrating.
To say the least.
Exactly. But, I think we will be successful. I will be successful because I will not have a bad dog. So, Scout, if you're listening, you will be good. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
What's your jam?
Mainly because it's been kind of a lot of my time lately. Has been planning my high school reunion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, really interesting. The nerd behind Between the Cons, was senior class president.
I was vice president.
So, super weird. But we're coming up on 10 years this year. So I know.
It's okay. I had mine 2 years ago.
So you're old.
Yeah.
But no, I've been planning my 10-year reunion. Already like out on Facebook, getting all the details together and getting them out to everybody. So it's kind of exciting. But it's kind of weird. Like there are so many. It's weird to think about. Like there's this group of people that I was so close to for like.
Oh yeah, for years.
Over a decade.
Yeah.
And now I have gone a whole decade without speaking to like 95% of them.
Yeah.
And here we are, like we're about to just hang out for like a few hours.
Yeah. And basically, it's all up to you to make that a fun couple of hours.
Right.
So don't mess it up.
Actually, it's all up to Harvey's on Noble in Sylacauga, Alabama, because they are the coolest venue, and they have a very cheap package for reunions.
Well, hot dog.
And they do everything for you. It's $50 a head. Everything's included. Like food's included, decorations included. They set everything up. They tear everything down.
Heritage Christian class of
it's
05.
It's
if
great.
we had known that.
It's great. So like I basically don't have to do anything other than what I've already done, which is like price out a bunch of different venues and caterers and all this stuff, only to realize I should have just done this in the first place.
Yeah.
So
lessons learned.
So that's my jam, I guess. Planning my high school reunion, not necessarily because I'm having the best time doing it, as much as I am. It's been most of my time.
Yeah. No jams
it's like
have
wedding
been
planning
found
part 2
because of this jam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. It is my cop-out jam.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my jam. And that's the show. We made it all the way through. Thank you guys for hanging in there. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, check out Patreon. It's like Kickstarter, but monthly. And you can find that at betweenthecons.com/Patreon or Satchel Podcast Player, where you can tip and tweet while listening. And of course, Amazon. We are an Amazon affiliate. Check out the search bar at the bottom of our screen and shop from there. Secondly, betweenthecons.com streaming and social media can be found there. Stream all our episodes, link out to our social media sites. If you like our theme music, Affix is the guy that brings it to your ear holes. He makes cool songs. Check him out on Bandcamp. And lastly, make sure you subscribe to the show. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday. all year round except for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So do it. It's a good time. We have fun.
Yeah.
We have fun. Subscribe to the show.
Be a part of the fun.
Review the show. Do all the things with the show. And we will talk to you guys next time.
See you later.